just because of the time constraints we're on. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. We're going to start with Jeff in the front, please.
Hey, I saw you went and met with Kelce and Mahomes, and have you talked to those guys before or met them, and what was your experience like getting a chat with them?
No, I hadn't never met them before, but I went out to the facility earlier this year. Brett Beach, the manager there, I didn't know it until a couple years ago, but he's a big fan of mine. So he had us out and hosted us earlier this year, and then he was able to kind of line it up again this time. So it was really cool. We had Cliff out there, and Rudy Fugel's a huge Chiefs fan. So it was really neat to be there, and we got to sit in the quarterback meeting before their practice. So that was really cool to see how they operate and kind of prep for a practice. But yeah, that was kind of a once in a lifetime experience, and it was cool to do that. And everybody there is extremely nice, and I think because Brett's such a big fan and talks about racing a lot, they kind of get it, so it's cool.
When you see those people prepare and stuff like that, what, if any, similarities or qualities do you see in other successful athletes like that you find are similar here?
Well, I think what I didn't quite realize, just being a casual fan of football, was how much work it actually is. I just look at big buff football players, and I'm like, they just probably have a couple meetings during the week, a couple practices, and just lift and get big and strong. And but it sounds like their weeks are really long. A lot of prep work. Sounds like a lot of meetings. And I would say by game day they're extremely prepared. So that was really neat to see, and just how much effort goes into prepping for a single game. That was, like I said, that was just eye-opening and really cool to see, and neat to see the culture and leadership that goes on there, and it makes sense why they're so successful.
Over to the left.
Bob Hopkins, Fox Sports. I'm curious, do people like, oh my gosh, you met Patrick Mahomes, and how, I don't know whether you thought it was a big deal before or more after?
Well, I don't know. I don't really look at the social media stuff a lot, but I definitely had a handful of friends, reach out and say that was really cool. So, I'm friends with a lot of 49er fans, so I was surprised that none of them were like, oh, you traitor or whatever. But no, I think there's such a big deal, right? Like Mahomes and Kelce and even Brett Beach, that a lot of people, whether you cheer for that team or not, they have a lot of respect for those athletes. So I think everybody was pretty surprised and thought it was cool. I got to hang out there.
And coming back to Kansas, is there any kind of realization or frustration knowing this is the last place you won?
It's not something that I've really thought about, I guess, until getting ready to come here this week. It was like, wow, it's been since here that we've last won. But I think with that, it gives you some confidence. That it's a place that we've ran well at for a long time now, and we'll hopefully have similar speed to what we had earlier in the year. It sounds like we had a great week in the shop in the wind tunnel, so I think everybody at Hendrick Motorsports is excited to get on track to see where we kind of are on speed and balance compared to what we've been on the intermediates or tracks sort of similar. I know it's been a while since we've been on an intermediate, but hopefully we have a good weekend and can run up front, get some good points, and go into the Roval with an even bigger gap than we have.
We'll go to the left and then go to Tim.
Ryan Cunningham of the Racing Experts. Kyle, the last two tracks in this round really cater to your skill set in the Gen 7 car. Beyond the obvious goal that a win is, especially coming here, how impactful would defending your spring victory be for you?
Well, it would be impactful because like we mentioned, I haven't won a race since this one, and really haven't been that consistently good since this race, earlier this year. So it'd be nice to kind of, obviously get a win, but we've been working extremely hard the last few months to get back to the point of where we were leading a bunch of laps and winning stages. So, and I feel like we've learned a lot along the way. So, yeah, I hope we can kind of put that all in motion and have a good day.
You mentioned how big it is that you haven't won since Kansas. Is that something that you think about often, especially going into a weekend?
No, I don't really think about it a whole lot. I don't know, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. I don't really know, but I think you're always looking ahead. You're not really looking behind, too much. So, I think whether you're winning every weekend, you could probably ask Connor Zillich, who's won every race the last 3 months. Like, he's probably not thinking about the race he won 2 months ago. So you're just kind of looking ahead always.
We'll go to Tim. Tim, if you can raise your hand.
Tim Moore, Motorsports Day. To go back with Mahomes and Kelce, I am wondering, Kyle, have you ever done a race suit swap before or anything? Or was this your first time?
No, I mean, we've definitely done some throughout the past, but, it's probably the most popular jersey or whatever you're going to call it I've got. So it's really cool. I'll probably definitely get it framed up and hang it in the game room of the house or something.
You mentioned just you were surprised that you haven't gotten any backlash, but do you have anything to say to 49ers fans?
Say that again?
Do you have anything to say to 49ers fans that may be a little upset that you went to Arrowhead?
No.
No. Okay. One last question for my part. Just how do you kind of evaluate where you are in the playoffs as compared to past years at this point now that we're closing in on the halfway point of the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, it's you can't really hide from it. It's probably been our weakest playoffs, my career in at least at Hendrick Motorsports. Going through the first round with 0 top 10s was not something that we expected. But we still, gained good points throughout the first 2 races of that round, which was good. We just didn't get the race finishes that we've had in the past. But then we had a good, New Hampshire, where I know that track hasn't been in the playoffs for a while, but we were getting better there than we have in the past. So, I don't know. We still have a lot of racing left to get back to, what we've been. And like I said, I feel like we are getting better and better each week, although it may be little, improvements. It's still stacking, and hopefully it, kind of peaks at the right time.
We're going to go to Dustin, Alex, and then finish with Jenna.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Kyle, how has this year challenged you?
Well, I think just, it's, I would say the first till end of May, it was like really good, and you kind of know what you're gonna get for results and stuff. Each week you go to the track because we were just that strong, and the schedule lined up really well for our organization. A lot of mile and a halves and tracks that we were historically good at. And then the tracks that we've not done, or I guess maybe we haven't been lights out. We were probably just even a little bit worse than we had been in years prior. So that just challenges you and your team mentally and emotionally sometimes. And we've had a lot. We've dealt with a lot as a team this year. Probably, I don't know what other teams have dealt with, but I don't know if there's a team that's dealt with more than we have. With losing a team member, pit crew swaps, different personnel change, and there's just a lot that we've had to overcome. But I feel like we've worked really hard and built. Although the results may not show it all the time, I feel like we are building and better than we were, say, in June, for sure.
And Cliff referenced that too, that all the challenges that just you guys have gone through from a personal standpoint. I know he's a leader, but as a driver, as a leader, what kind of role can you play, or how have you tried to help your teammates, because they've certainly gone through a lot this year?
Yeah, I think just for me, just staying positive and motivated, and not, letting the team members see you down or, not motivated. So trying to just keep putting in my best effort every week, and letting them know that we have a shot to run well every week is always good.
My Place Hotels is proud to be the official hotel partner of Frontstretch. With plush beds, in-room kitchens, and pet-friendly hotels, My Place makes for the perfect pit stop when traveling. Frontstretch fans can use promo code Frontstretch to save 10% on your stay at any of our nationwide properties. Sign up for our Stay Rewarded program to get even more savings. With My Place Hotels, don't just stay, stay rewarded.